back with another episode of Life in Law. And today we have our special guest with us, Dion. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome. How are you?
And I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Thank you very much for asking.
Of course. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, just for our listeners, like a little brief introduction?
My name's Dion. Um, I live in Pennsylvania. Uh, oh wow, the corruption is beyond compare. we, we need some major help out here with with the judicial system. It is out of control. Um, I've been living in Erie for the past. I'm 53 now. I've been here all my life. Uh, there's in this lifetime, I've seen so much corruption. Um, just so many things that the state itself, the city itself, is committing. No due process, hearsay and crimes. Um, just different things, not following a constitutional oath, different things that would make any person, they would cringe from some of the stuff that I've seen here. It's awful.
And so have you been in the Erie area your whole life, born and raised?
Yes, born and raised here. My mom, I think the reason why she did it, and from some of the stuff she told me, is she figured it would be a better life for, building a family, kids and stuff. And little did she know.
If she only knew.
Yeah, she only knew. But I don't think she did it on purpose. She just, I guess it was just a better lifestyle to her, not understanding that later on in life it would turn into the beast that it is now. So,
And I think it's everywhere, it's like, even if you go in the nicest areas and the nicest place, the corruption doesn't hide. It's everywhere.
yes.
So now you got into a situation recently with like the criminal court, and you were arrested, correct?
Yes.
And I know
Yes.
that with an ongoing criminal case, obviously there's certain things that you don't want to say, while
Yes.
the case is ongoing, but with whatever you feel comfortable sharing, can you tell a little bit about what happened in that situation?
Yes. So with the situation at hand, first off, where it started, where it began. Um, the beginning is, the landlord, of course, he I kind of feel like he should have took us into more consideration, knowing that we've been in this place for over 10 years. You would think he would have took us into consideration with the nuisance, um, the gun, the gun being discharged from the apartment upstairs and then almost killing my child, bullet ricocheting and almost hitting my wife. Um, the different patterns of nuisance and harassment, and then nothing being done. Like it doesn't matter, and when you think about it, there's a lot of violations there. Most especially when it comes to Constitution. You got to have somewhere to live. You got to have food, water, and shelter. I mean, those are basic necessities. When you get into nuisance and people committing crimes, and you feel unsafe, your family feels unsafe, it's gonna be it's gonna be crazy. And I know a lot of people would say, well, why don't you just move, or why don't you just do this, or why don't you just do that? You got to understand, my neighborhood is a family oriented neighborhood. Almost everybody down here knows everybody. My family lives down here. I have an aunt and cousins that live down here. I have friends that live down here. I've been in this neighborhood the majority of my life. So I don't want to go anywhere because this is my home. This is where I'm at. But then when you move the rogues into your home or your neighborhood, you're going to have issues. You're going to have problems. And the landlords here, what I've noticed, they don't like to do what they're supposed to do. They would rather just collect the money, and who cares about the suffering? I live in a section where it was once upon a time called Mansion Row. Really nice place. And then you get the landlords that buy some of the vacant buildings that people moved out of or might have died or something. And then instead of them taking into consideration what it was called at one time and try to keep it that way, they move the rogues in. They move the drug dealers in. Now you got problems with drugs, people getting shot, just different things. So that's one of them. Then the second thing is when it comes down to like the crime itself, which was well, my wife, my son, and I, we were arrested over hearsay. Um, the person that did the hearsay, uh, he lied to the police, obviously. He lied to the DA, obviously. He's lied to the judge, obviously, and they made this into this big, oh my God, they turned it into a monster over nothing. I mean, nobody was injured. I don't know if your audience understands corpus delicti, but with corpus delicti, you have to have an embodiment of a crime, an injured party, destroyed property, different things like that. That's corpus delicti. That's the invitation to making a case. If you don't have that, there's no case. So in my case, there's no injured party. There's no person that got shot with a gun. There's nobody that did anything wrong in my case. Like I said, I will later on give docket so people can go take a look on both cases, the federal and state, so they can get motions that I filed, different ways of, and hopefully today will teach the audience, if you get into some of these problems, how to go by filing this paperwork to make it stick the first time. Because I'll tell you what, a federal judge is not going to take your case if it's frivolous. They don't do that. They want action. They want straight action. If there's no action there, they're not going to take it. So I want to show the audience how to commit to this, get it done, and make sure that not only is the officer following the rules, but the judge is following the rules, the DA is following the rules, everybody that's involved. So with my case, what they did was they took my wife and my son to jail who weren't on the warrant. They took myself to jail. My wife is a gun owner slash registered. So everything is documented. Everything is legal, and they came in my abode, and they took things that they weren't supposed to take. They disarmed my wife, and she wasn't even supposed to be disarmed. Like I said, once everything is done, I have video of how they arrested my wife and my son and myself. It was awful. It was awful. But in the same process, the person that discharged the gun that was upstairs, they were nice and kind to him. They didn't do anything bad. They even let the guy go back upstairs and retrieve the weapon and bring it back down to them and hand it to the police officer, which I've never seen anything like that before. I have that on video. I have
okay, so let's back up for a second. So first off, when did this happen? What year was this?
This was May 29th of 2024.
Okay. And now explain what happened immediately before you were arrested.
Okay, so before we were arrested, me and my, well, some of it is kind of private. I didn't really want to get into that some of the parts of
Just,
it.
just whatever you can
Okay.
say.
Okay. So anyway, I wake up in the morning, I get out of the bed, I go into my living room to go out the front door to retrieve my garbage can because the night before was garbage night. So I go outside to retrieve the garbage can, and I come back in the house, not knowing that the the person, the neighbor, the accuser, came outside, left and went to work. And I looked at it on the video to see what was going on. Like, where am I at in this video? So I'm looking at the video. He comes outside, he stops on the stairs, and he looks around and he looks back. And I'm like, I wonder what the hell he was looking at, you know? And then he takes off up the street. That's the end of it. Next thing I know, I got friggin' cops all outside the side of my house, in the front. They got guns drawn, and I'm like, what in the crap is going on out here? What the fuck? And why are they here? So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? I'm terrified. I have no idea. So anyway, make a long story short, they come, they asked me to come outside. I asked them for a warrant because I want to see what's going on. They never showed that to me. So anyway, I come outside anyway because I didn't want any damage done to the landlord's stuff because they kept telling me they were going to break the door down if I didn't come out. So I said, okay, I'll go out there. So anyway, I went out, they grabbed me, put me up against the car. While the door is open, they come in and they go after my wife. Now, my wife and son aren't on this warrant, so why are you going after them? So anyway, they go after her. They grab my wife. My son steps in between them because he's in his bedroom sleep now. He doesn't know what's going on. He has no idea. He's woken out of his sleep hearing his mom. I could hear her outside saying, what are you arresting me for? Why are you doing this? What did we do? And my son, he comes out and he goes to step in between them, and this officer pulls his gun on him. Now, me knowing that when they do stuff like this, they're supposed to clear the place first to make sure there's nobody there. He immediately went after my wife, like, what is that? What was that all about? So anyway, when he gets my son handcuffed and my wife, he's got my wife's arm so far up her back. Like, wow, bro, you're going to break her friggin' arm. Let it go. And she's only 130 pounds, you know, and then you got these two giant friggin' officers, 250, 200, and the one looked like he was like 300 pounds. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the crap are they doing to this little woman? Like, they bruised her arm. They throw her in her car all crazy. My son ain't got no clothes on. They snatch him out of the house and they drag us all down to the police station. So they charged my wife and my son with misconduct and something else. I guess the reason why he did that is because they weren't on a warrant. He knew he was wrong for doing what he did, and he arrested him anyway. So he puts them in the car, he puts myself in the car, and then we're gone. They take us away. So after that, they let my wife and my son go on a R&R, and they keep me. I go to jail and I stay in there for a month. I get bailed out, and then I'm where I'm at now, fighting this charge of like I said, I'll give you the numbers so they can see the docket and see exactly what I was charged with. They stacked these charges.
What are the
So
charges? Can you list
I
them?
I didn't want to bring those up.
Okay.
I'll give you like I said the number so you can check it on the docket. Like I said, it's public knowledge, so you can look at that stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to list it so anyone who wants to look it up can can check it out?
Yes, I'll definitely send you the link. I'll send you a link for both the federal and the state because, like I said, it's public knowledge. And you can go ahead and take a look. Your audience can look. It's just crazy because it's like, if they do this to me, they can do it to anybody. They can do this
So,
to anybody.
so a couple questions. So when they came to the door and you asked if they had a warrant, did they say that they had one?
They said they had one, but they never produced it. You know when they gave us the warrant? When everybody was taken away, and then the officer had nerve enough to leave it on the table. No wet ink signature, nothing that shows that it's an actual warrant, and then it's stamped all over the place, rubber stamped everywhere. And it's like, what the hell is this? And then on top of that, my wife's name's not on it, and my son's name's not on it. And then you took them away. So it's like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they immediately opened the door and or go into the house and they immediately went to go like restrain and arrest your wife. Did they tell her like you're under arrest for such and such, or did they just literally grab her and try to cuff her?
that's pretty much pretty much what he did was he the way they grabbed her was just like, dude, she's not resisting or anything. Like, why? What the hell is that? And like I said, there's nothing professional about the police system. They're not educated enough to do some of the things that they do. Not only that, but you gotta remember, these are people that they go to this academy. When they get out, they're supposed to get a Supreme Court number, follow their oath. They take an oath. They're supposed to get the Supreme Court number. Um, they're supposed to be more legal than what they are now. They don't. The majority of them, like the officer that's doing my case, he has no paperwork whatsoever. His oath of office, I can't find it. They done hid this. Don't know where that's at. I go down to ask for it, and you guys, with your audience, if you ever want to look for an officer's oath of office, you make sure you go to the clerk of courts, and you can get it from them. The clerk of courts are supposed to have it on file. If they don't have it on file, they don't have it. You can do a FOIA request on that officer, get their badge number and their name, and look this stuff up. Because the majority of them, and I promise you the majority of them, do not have the paperwork to be working. And that's where this system is going wrong. Because like we all know that Donald Trump passed a executive order for the ALJs and all them guys to have this paperwork. If they don't have it, they're not supposed to be working. None of them got this paperwork. You can look on a docket. Right? You get in trouble, you can look on the docket and you'll see the DA's name and all that other stuff. With the DA's name, there's supposed to be a Supreme Court number there. If they don't have a Supreme Court number, they're not legit. So that's the thing that they need to understand, that everybody needs to understand. Check them out because they're criminals. You can sit there and think it's fine. But when you start digging into stuff, just like I told my wife, I just opened up a friggin' Pandora's box that I want to close and throw that in the lake. I don't want no parts of it, but it's too late now. I opened it and now it's squirming all over me and I can't. And it's awful. It's awful. This is the worst year and 3 months that I've ever gone through in my life. And I mean, don't get it wrong. I'm not a God sent. Well, I'm not a person that's perfect. I've done things that I shouldn't have done in my past. 40 years ago, I was a child. Now I'm an old man. I don't want no parts of it anymore. I'm trying to live a decent life, legal life, peaceful life without crime. And it's hard to raise a child and take care of your wife. I can't even get a job, for crying out loud, because the charges. It's not funny. It's not funny. And another thing, what they really need to do, they need to bring the treason needs to be enforced. The qualified immunity, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve qualified immunity. Why? Because they'll take your kids from you, and they'll tell you when you put in a complaint, oh, he was working in his official capacity. He didn't know. Bullshit. You're a judge. You're supposed to know these things. Bull. So don't do that. And then the DA, the professional liar, they don't care. They want the conviction. They're gonna get you out of here anyway.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the thin blue line of silence?
That part.
They're never, all the immunity should go away. There should never be immunity in anything because it's always going to be abused. And if you look back in history, why they even had such thing as judicial immunity, it was because judges were worried that people would get mad and sue them if they were upset with their decisions. And judges wouldn't be able to make the decisions they wanted because they were scared of being sued. So the judges wouldn't be scared of being sued anymore to make them happy. They decided to do judicial immunity like 200 years ago. And based off of like one case that has stuck for all these years. And so that's one of the things that I actively am trying to challenge as unconstitutional, because it's, if they are immune, there's even cases where there was a judge who ordered a young girl to be like sterilized against her will. And they said that the family couldn't sue and that there was no justice because of the immunity. And like, I know you mentioned earlier about like corpus delicti. And I remember, being in law school, I took criminal law and it was my favorite class. And I got an A in the class and I actually got an award for getting the highest grade in the class. And most of the kids in my class failed because they didn't know how to like think properly when it comes to criminal law. And it's, in a way, it's kind of like the easiest because they have to prove that you're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And like you were saying, there's certain elements of the crime that have to be met in any crime. Like they need to have a mens rea, which is like the guilty mind. So like you have to consciously know that you're committing a crime. If you do something by accident, it's not a crime. Excuse me. And also you need the actus reus, which is the actual guilty act. So if somebody, just does something by accident, they can be sued for negligence, but it's not a crime. Versus if somebody willingly did something and planned to do it and then executed that plan, that meets those elements. And so like if they're charging you with something based on hearsay accusations and no other evidence, and you have video that disproves it and other evidence that disproves it, then there's no guilty mind, there's no act of a crime, because whatever they're saying you did, you can disprove. And so it just seems like for the case to still be open a year and a half later, something's going on. Now, was this neighbor a new addition to the neighborhood, or was he always part of the neighborhood?
No, they both of them were actually new additions. Wow, the first week was amazing because they were beating each other up on the side of the house over here in the parking lot. it was something special, and then they're running around ODing all over the place. Friggin' people getting drugged from upstairs in the friggin' stretchers and all this other stuff. I mean, and then I send the video to my landlord and he looks at it like, who cares? It's no big deal. we don't care. But then you have children down here, and they run around every day, the poor, precious little things. And they have to see this. They turned this place into a war zone on purpose. And it's sad. But like I said, you can go outside every day and you'll hear little kids running and laughing and joking and having fun. But then you turn the place into a freaking war zone on purpose. Like, why? What is the motive
Because
to
he's probably charging those new tenants double the rent, and all he cares about is making money. And they don't care that it's lowering the property values for the whole neighborhood when more crime and more drugs and all that comes in. And like you said, you've been in the neighborhood all these years, you've seen it go downhill, and now it's like it seems like they're retaliating against you.
now I'm gonna tell you this, right? The reason why my wife brought the guns that she did, the one day me and her, we were sitting, and actually me and my son, we like to game together. That's our time together. And me and him, we were in a room gaming and stuff and having fun, just laughing. And then we hear these 5 pops, and I'm like, oh snap! Let me go out here and check on baby mom, make sure she's not my wife, and make sure she's not nothing happened. So I told my son, I said, just get down for a second, just lay down on the floor. I'll be right back. So I run out here, and she's on the floor shaking. She's crying. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? So after all the commotion, the noise and everything, I go outside, and there's 2 friggin' dudes across the street laying there almost next to each other dead. Just both of them shot in the face. I mean, it was something else. And this the bad part. The state police had to come down here on the block because it was over 200 people down here because the 2 people that died, it was their kids, and they were pissed off trying to figure out what was going on. You know, they still ain't caught this guy yet. My wife
Really?
told me, yeah, my wife told me, she said, honey, we're getting, I need a weapon. I'm afraid. I said, hey, babe, you do what you got to do. I'll go with you, but you do what you got to do. If that's how you're going to feel safe, then do it. So she went on and she got him. And she felt so much safer. Like her whole demeanor and everything before she bought him, she was like cringing. Like she didn't even want to go outside. I felt bad for her. I would open the door and go out with her, put her in the car, and then watch her drive off. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. It was that bad. She was terrified. And then when she got the weapons, she felt more, when she got her license and a weapon, she felt so much better. She put it in her purse. You would see her face, like, you know how some women, when they look like, oh my God, I don't really want to do this, and you can see it on her face, and you kind of get like, poor thing. She had that look. And then when she got the weapon, that look just dissolved. It went away. So I just feel like she, in some parts, she did the right thing, but in other parts, it's like now they're gone. Now we're in the same situation again, and then we're dealing with this crap. So not only that happened across the street before they came, but then they discharged one, and they didn't do it just once. They did it 2 times. They did it out the back window over here, and then they did it through the floor right here. So this is not just something that's happened one time. They've done a lot, breaking windows. I've got them on video stealing they stole my damn grill. I wanted the barbecue hamburgers yesterday and I couldn't do it.
Wow.
The grill is gone. So yeah,
Times are getting rough. What are they going to sell it for, like $20 at the pawn shop?
it's sickening. And but this is the craziest part of the whole entire thing. And I hate that drugs are so rampant. But you can tell when somebody's high on fentanyl or heroin. And I videoed it, the accuser one day. He was down the street at my aunt's house, and my aunt kept telling her, now she owns 2 apartments. She owns her house and an apartment complex next to it. So this is her property. This is all hers. And you're on her property, and she's begging you to leave. She even walked you home a few times because you were belligerent and high. My cousin told you to get the hell off her property, and you told him you were going to press charges on him because he said, get the hell off this woman's property. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Never, never. It is out of control. The drugs are out of control. These people, the accuser and the brother are out of control. I've had them go in my mailbox. I got that on video.
Wow.
I got so
That's
much
a
video. Yeah.
federal offense.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing he did. He opened it, he stuck his fingers in there, then he closed it back, and he walked upstairs. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, bro? You really just did that?"
I would be nervous that he put like some kind of something that you know, what if he put a drug or something like?
Yeah, when I went out there the one day to check the mail, I dumped bleach down in it.
Oh my God. So, you know, I wanted to ask you, because you said that when the police came that day to arrest you, that they had like surrounded your home and then they like had their weapons drawn. Were you guys unarmed when they were like pointing weapons at you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I said, my
And
son was still in the bed.
is that from your knowledge, or I'm not sure if you've looked into it, but is that their typical protocol to draw their weapons if somebody's unarmed?
Okay, I'm gonna give you a prime example of that. So the person that discharged the gun here the first time, they never drew guns. They didn't do anything. They just walked up on him. They asked him questions. They didn't even handcuff him. They didn't do anything to him. And mind you, I picked up this hot bullet off the floor. It was in my hand, spinning on the floor in my hand, and I took the bullet and I gave it to the cop. So that right there should have made him say, okay, we're dealing with some shit. This dude got a bullet in his hand. What the hell's going on? So yeah, the protocol for us compared to the person that actually committed a crime, night and day.
And have the police ever been like targeting you or your family in the past, or was this the first time that they did this?
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had some traffic tickets and I beat them, like beat the crap out of them to the point where my wife only had to pay a 63-cent stamp to get her license back. So yeah, that I think that's a part of it. And just being who I am, you know, I've like I said, I've had them walk up on me before and ask me questions, and I've quoted things to them, pleaded fifth, told them Fourth Amendment, no search and seizure. I mean, I've done those things, and it's pissed them off. It's pissed them off. I'm not one of those type of people that I'm just gonna lay down and let you do whatever you want. That I don't know why I'm like that. I wish I wasn't. I'd rather just lay down and just let them go ahead and do what they got to do. But I can't. It's hard. And I know there's a lot of people out here that are like that too. I mean, like you, for instance, you're fighting back too, you know, and you're not one of those people that just lay down, you know, and that's not your fault. You just understand what it means, justice compared to corrupt. And that's what a lot of us is dealing with. A lot of us is dealing with corruption, a lot of corruption. You, even with yourself, you might have said something that might have pissed them off. They didn't want you knowing that. And in the same process, that's the
I
outcome.
think that one of the, yeah, and I think that one of the big things that kind of like pissed him off was when you start like speaking up and showing them that you know your rights. Because like at the time when I was facing all this like corruption getting worse, just started law school. So I was like literally going to school like, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to learn all about the rights and the law. Da, da. Then I'd go deal with the police and they would literally violate my rights and break the law right in my face. And I would say to them, and then they just keep retaliating more and more. And then the courts and the judges. And it was like, I don't understand. Like, and then I realized like, oh wait, these people are literally criminals. It's like, it's like you try to go hold a criminal accountable. What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to be like, oh, my bad? No,
they're going to qualified immunity.
Yeah. And now you're the criminal. Now they're saying they're throwing felony charges at me right and left. Like I have like a clean record, but all these allegations of nonsense, like a felony charge for going to my daughter's pediatrician's doctor to get records. If that's not retaliation for reporting abuse of the child, that those records showed abuse, then what is? Like You know what I mean? Like, and also they arrested me and charged me with a felony for that 6 days after I filed a federal RICO lawsuit against the state.
That
That got
part.
national attention.
That part. And they don't like
Yeah.
that. They don't like that. So whoever that cop is that you did that to, or the judge or the DA, they really don't like you right now. And but this is the thing. You wouldn't have had to do it if you would have followed your oath of office or followed the friggin' rules, you jackass. You wouldn't have to do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. And like the messed up part is that they have a law that says that they only have a year from the day of your arrest to take you to trial. And if they don't do it within 30 days of that 1 year, they have to dismiss it with prejudice. And it's been 2.5 years since one arrest and almost 2 years since the second arrest, which is the felony one. And that means both of those cases need to be dismissed. And every day that they keep it open, it's another illegal prosecution. And like the DA, well, actually in Connecticut, it's not a DA, it's called a state's attorney. And it basically goes under sovereign immunity. And they say they have immunity because they're the state, which is a joke. And he won't even respond. Like they just ignore everything I file. It doesn't matter what I do. So imagine like if I was in jail right now trying to file asking for a trial, I'd be sitting in jail for years. Oh, yeah. And I'd be lucky if I ever even get that trial. And I've heard of stories of people sitting in jail not convicted without a trial for like 20 years, 15, 20 years without a trial. And the speedy trial is also our constitutional right under the Constitution. So it's like
Rule 600.
Yeah,
Rule 600.
It's crazy. And so the fact that they'll just do this and ignore you, but like the only way that they'll actually do anything is if there's public outrage, which the only way to get that is posting online and going on social media and getting the public to actually pay attention, because the news is all paid off. Like the news in Connecticut, they said to me that they have private contracts with the state that says they're not allowed to report on anything that makes the judges or police or anything look bad. So like if you go and tell them you have corruption, they literally told me straight up, oh, we'd love to report on this, but unfortunately we're contractually forbidden from reporting on this. And I'm like, no wonder nobody knows what's going on. And then you post online and what do? They delete your post. They shadow ban you. I was getting an average of 1 million views for every post last year. My ex got me banned. I tried making new pages. Now it's like, I'll get like 100 views, 200 views, but I'm posting the same stuff that I was getting millions. So it's like, it's not that the video isn't good. It's that they're suppressing it. They want to silence us because they don't want the general public to know the truth. Because if everybody in your community knew what was going on, there would be outrage. People would lose their law licenses and their spots on the bench.
Yeah, that's that First Amendment thing. I just watched on the news. Donald Trump is really pissed off at people that try to silence people. He doesn't like that, and I don't blame him. I mean that's what those 10. That's what the 10 Bill of Rights are about. What we don't understand. Just give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
I keep this book because I love it to death. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if I can get it there. Oh, can't see.
Back up.
It's the Constitution of the United States.
Put it in front of like your face so it shows up.
Let's see here. Can we get it there? There it is. There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
There you go.
I carry it around like it's a passport. But the thing with it though, the thing about it is, and what I want to show the audience is these are the things that we need to keep in mind right here. Right here. This is our Bill of Rights from the First Amendment all the way to the 14th. We need to keep all this stuff in mind. Everything that's in this book, we need to keep this in mind because this is what you got. This is what you got, people. This is it. They don't care about you. They take people's kids and they sell them off. We're having problems with this crap. Putting them in containers, selling them off, killing them, selling parts off of them. And don't nobody give a friggin' flying crap. Ask the average person that's ever had their kids taken by CPS, where in the fuck is my kid? and they can't give you any goddamn answer because they're somewhere locked the fuck away, crying, scared to fucking death, and nobody gives a crap. You get these little, remember the signs back in the days with the missing people? Have you seen this person? Do you ever see them fucking things anymore? You know why you don't see them anymore? Because they're taking our kids and they're selling them for fucking money, and don't nobody, I'm sorry for cussing on your podcast, but that right there touches a nerve. They're abusing our children. They're abusing grandmothers, grandfathers, people like me and you. They're innocent. And we need to do something. Not just sit around. Oh, maybe this guy has the answer. Maybe this guy has the answer. They're giving you answers, but you got to go out there and friggin' tackle the shit yourself. Get petitions. Go to the county council meetings. Get people to come with you with friggin' petitions and sign for them to get the out of here. The judges too. You can do that to them. The DAs, they're not getting it. They're not getting it. Stop crying and just jump in there. Jump in there. Do something. Just don't let them do what they want. Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that. Because every time they do it, your neighbor down the street with the two kids that you see every day and you're giving them popsicles and stuff in the summertime because it's hot outside, they can go down there and take their friggin' kids. Stop it. Do something. Say something. That's just like with criminal activity. If you see something going on, video it. Show somebody. So then when that person, if he didn't do anything wrong and he has to go to court, you got evidence too.
Yeah, I think it's just like society in general is like, so they just don't care about anything. Everybody's just so self-centered. Like there was that story with that girl who got murdered on the train from Ukraine. And like every single person did absolutely nothing, even grown men. Nobody even lifted a finger to try to stop the guy or intervene or see if the girl was okay. And you know, it's just disgusting that like everybody just looks at it like, well, if it's not affecting me, then why should I care? Nobody cares about family courts and CPS and anything until their kids get taken and trafficked and sold and abused. And, you know, it seems like you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom. Have you ever thought about running for any like local office, like public offices? You're a good speaker.
Let me tell you about that part. My wife said that to me one time, and I had this other guy, this guy down at the friggin' city hall say the same thing to me one time. And I told him, the guy at city hall, I was kind of ignorant to him. I said, "Sir, if I become a mayor or a governor or something, I'm gonna arrest you guys." So you know what? You don't want me doing anything like that. Yeah, you don't want me anything. You don't want that from me because I'm going to clean City Hall out, and then I'm going to put in there the people that I think is going to commit the job the correct way and follow their oath. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. And then you guys are going to be mad. You're going to be trying to hunt me down and kill me. I don't want anything to do. Excuse me. I didn't mean to. Sorry about that. But yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. I would like to. I told my wife I would like to do the constitutional lawyer type deal, federal type deal, because it's more active. They do it by actual evidence and stuff like that. That's the part that I like. I like the snooping out part. I like to find it and see if I can find it. Where's it at? Is it underneath the pillow? Is it underneath the ground? Where is it at? Can I find it? That's the part I like. But we don't get that anymore. We don't get the they'll snoop around on us, be in your house, all over the place. But when it's time to actually find evidence, they don't do that part. They'll follow you around all day though. They will do that and don't get nothing done. But they don't actually go and do cop work or DA work or judge work. They go off like prima facie, for instance. How in the hell do you use prima facie over corpus delicti? Who in the hell does that? How do you crush corpus delicti with prima facie? How? How does that work? If you don't got no crime, there's nothing there. So how do you use that? Those are things I'm talking about. They don't give a crap about.
And also, like, if at any time the prosecutor discovers that was no probable cause for the arrest and that there's no probable cause at all, like, then they have a duty as the prosecutor to dismiss the case. If they continue to prosecute knowing there was no probable cause in the first place, they're violating their oath, and they're basically.
You're right. That's a Sixth Amendment. That's a Sixth Amendment right. It's a 14th Amendment right. A Fourth Amendment right.
Not to mention federal law, like 18 USC 241, 18
and
USC 242, like
exactly.
Obstruction of justice, deprivation of rights under color of law. If he knows that by keeping the criminal case open, it's a deprivation on your rights and your freedom, because at any time they can revoke that bond and put you in jail, and you're technically still in their custody because you bonded out. You know what I'm saying? So by them continuing, same with me, like they're continuing to keep these cases open because they attached a criminal protective order. They labeled the case as domestic violence, even though there was nothing violent about the arrest. And then they said, oh, because of DV, now we're going to put a mandatory protective order that says you can't go near your child's home and you can't interfere with your ex, or it's a felony. So anything that I do can be interference. And that same thing. That's why I went to the doctor to get records. They said I interfered with him because he told them he didn't want me to go there. But I'm allowed to go there. It's a public place. You know what I mean? It's like, it'd be one thing if the protective order said you're not allowed to go to the doctor, and I went to the doctor. Then that's obviously a violation, but it didn't say anything like that. It doesn't even say I can't be near him in public. It just said, don't go near his house. Right. The doctor's office is not his house. And both of my kids were patients there. And I literally called the office and I said, I'm going to come there, because they said, oh, if you want to give us records, you have two options. You could either come in person or mail it. And I said, well, can I email? And they're like, no, we don't have that option. And so they said, you can come in person. So I was like, all right. And then later, when they arrested me, it said in the police report that day, my ex emailed them the protective order. So they tell me that they can't receive records by email, but they allow him to send a protective order via email. And then when I get there, they had the doors locked. And they said, oh, we just have the doors locked for cleaning. Just have a seat in the hallway. So I'm like, okay. And then after I see more parents getting let in, I was like, oh, is there like a different door to go into? And they're like, oh, no, just wait. And then next thing you know, they had the police come there. They lied and said that the doors were locked for cleaning, when in reality, they locked the doors to set me up, to have me sitting there so that when the cops came, they told the cops that they told me to leave. They never once told me to leave. And I was recording the whole thing, the entire interaction. And then when I try to ask them for police footage, it's like they only give bits and pieces of it. They don't give the whole thing. And then you ask them for FOIA requests and all that, FOIA, and they say, well, we're exempt because of this. We're exempt because it involves a child. I'm the child's legal guardian. You can't exempt it from me. I'm not a regular person from the public. And like, they just come up with any BS, and then you try to appeal, you try to sue. And every level, they're protecting each other, that blue line. And so, I feel like speaking up is like the only real way. Because look, right, that the girl on the bus, that got a lot of attention on social media, and there was a lot of outrage in social media. Next thing you know, the DOJ is saying yesterday that they're taking the case on a federal level because it was on mass transit. So, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have jumped in and want to be involved if it didn't get so much public attention. And I truly believe that, they would have tried to take me out a while ago. And when I started posting, it's like harder to just like murder somebody and make it look like an accident when the person is being so public, because it's harder because you're sort of protected in a way.
It's sad because we don't understand that opening your mouth is your best. That's your best defense against anything. Videoing is your best defense against anything, most especially them. Now, I'm gonna give you a prime example of it. Have you noticed that the courthouses, the police stations, you can't take cameras in a majority of those places? You got to get
Yeah,
frisked and check.
they'll threaten you.
Yeah.
They'll threaten to arrest you if you try to record.
And the only reason why they took that away. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If I knew I was committing criminal activity, do you think I want you in anywhere near me with a phone that got a camera on it or saying anything? No, I want you to shut the hell up and watch me commit this crime. And if you say one thing, we gonna have a problem. That's it. That's what you got. And that's what's going on in our system. That's that thing, like, remember a long time ago where they would say, hey, don't be a snitch. Stop telling on you. Don't be a snitch. They was getting us ready. They was getting us ready. And now we're here. And now look at it. Don't be a snitch. Don't be a snitch. Fuck you. I'm about to tell on your ass. You finna tell, you told on me. I'm telling on you. Period.
I'm about to start working I'm about to start being an FBI informant with all the people I'm sending reports on every day.
I mean, just understand, though. Just understand. And I know me and you were sitting here laughing about it, but this is some real serious shit. You gotta laugh from not crying. I mean, this is awful. They're frigging, and they're doing it in our face. Millions and billions of people see this on a daily basis, and you know what we do? We do just like this.
Did you mean to do that?
I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. That was an accident. That was an accident. I was just.
I thought that was part of. I thought it was like part of your speech because you were like, "Oh, we do just like this," and then it was like, "Poof!" You disappeared, and I was like, was that like a? Was that like part of your speech?
That's what happens. That's exactly what happens. And nobody pays attention. It's gone in thin air. 5 seconds. And we're not doing anything about it. We're not doing anything about it. We need to stop with the being scared. Understand, we're the ones that's government. We are the ones. If we're voting, they're having a big stink about the voting right now. The biggest stink in the world. How do you elect somebody that's not going to fucking fight for your rights? Somebody that's not going to do what they're supposed to do for you and your family and the next generation before that. Because just like they say, look at your face. Look at my face. Things like this is not supposed to happen to us in the United States. It doesn't work that way. And them taking the don't say nothing, don't tell, but then they're running around here telling and snatching people and doing all this other crap. We got to understand, we need to start telling. We need to start saying something, well, especially when it comes down to them. Because they got qualified immunity. Qualified immunity. Qualified immunity. Think about what that word means for a second. Qualified immunity. So if they make a mistake and you know that you're innocent and you know you didn't do something, qualified immunity, they don't care about you. Why do they care? How many innocent people do you think we got in jail right now? I promise you that's probably half of the fucking populations. I promise you that's what it is.
And you know what's surprising is like the United States has the highest prison population of any other country on the planet, and arguably some of the most inhumane conditions of the prisons and the jails. There's so much sexual assault happening where women and men are getting like assaulted by guards. There was a case in Connecticut where a girl was getting raped multiple times in the women's prison by multiple different COs on multiple occasions. She then tried to sue, and the attorney general turned around and argued in federal court saying that she's only allowed to sue for one of the times she was raped by only one of the officers, and all the other dozens of times and dozens of ones who raped her doesn't matter. And then they ended up throwing the case out of federal court, saying that if they were to set a precedent with this case by holding them accountable, then the next time that they're going to go do something like that, they're going to worry about being sued, and it's going to be like we're controlling the state, therefore the federal court can't do that. So they're more worried about protecting them from not being sued the next time that a CO wants to go rape an inmate, so that therefore now this one can't get justice. And like that's just one example. Like they don't give medical care. Like if a woman needs medical attention, she has to write a note and put it in a mailbox that gets answered within 5 to 7 business days. So if it's an emergency, you're literally going to die in your cell. There's been women who were pregnant and gave birth in the toilet and had to wait a week for medical attention and ended up suing for millions because the baby had problems and they had issues and stuff because, like, again, there's no medical attention. I've heard of people saying there was girls who smuggled fentanyl and heroin into the prison and then got all sick and were throwing up and everything all over the cell. And the other person in the cell waited a whole week and nobody came to clean the vomit. Nobody came to take the drugs or anything. And she had to literally be in that, breathing in all that disgusting, just thinking about it makes me want to vomit. And the fact that this is like the reality for so many people, that not to mention what they're feeding them is literally like garbage. But the fact that like people are sitting in there, innocent people, without a trial, without access to lawyers, and they say, oh, you know, you can have a lawyer. If you can't afford one, we'll give you a public defender. Everybody knows that's a joke. And now the new thing that they're doing is if you say that you want to be pro se, they'll force you to go into a mental institution for like 60 to 90 days to get a mental evaluation to see if you're competent to be pro se. And they can force medicate you. They leave you in rooms where the lights are on 24 hours a day, where nurses come in every hour and take blood and do all these invasive things. Like, all of these are things that are illegal under like international law based on the fact that it constitutes torture. Like, it's torture to keep the lights on 24/7. It's torture to do all these weird experimental things and forcibly medicate adults like against their will. And so they're giving them meds that like are like stuff that is like taken off the market that changes who you are as a person. And so that's what they'll do if somebody wants to be pro se. And then they'll say, oh no, you're not competent. And then they'll force you to have this lawyer. And then they try to get you to take a plea deal. And they exhaust you, where by the time it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years since your arrest, like you said, with that open case, it's going to show up on a background check. It's going to stop. It's going to also be a public record where people could look at it. It's tarnishing your reputation. People will use it against you, even though you're innocent until proven guilty. So every day that it stays open, it's causing you more harm, and harm to your business, your reputation, and your emotional self. And so it's like, you know, it's abusive for them to continue to keep it open. But what they'll do is drag it on so long to the point where you're so mentally exhausted that you just say, fine, I'll instead of pleading guilty to this felony, I'll plead guilty to the lower misdemeanor and I'll be on probation for 5 years just to get this done. And then you're on probation for 5 years. And the next thing you know, they frame you with a dirty urine when you were really didn't do drugs, or they'll just arrest you on something minor like speeding, and they'll say it's reckless endangerment, and next thing you know, you're back in jail. And so it's like, this is the prison system in America for the most part is for profit. And not to mention, they're getting, every time there's an inmate in there, DOC is getting paid, and like there's federal funding incentives. And so it's all like money laundering and like fraud on a huge level. And so
e-filing.
Oh yeah. And then I don't know about in Pennsylvania and Connecticut, they don't let anybody e-file in criminal cases. And criminal cases, you can't see the case dockets online. Like if you go look up a civil case or a family case, you can see like they filed motion for contempt, this, that. With criminal cases, all you can see is that there is a case. You can't see any of the things in there. And if you want to go look at the file, you have to go in person. So like if you're in another state, you're supposed to have public access to those records. Yep. Now, what do you have to do? You got to go travel 3 states over to go look at a case. It's not fair to the public because they're hiding stuff. It's secret.
That's the bureaucracy. That's how they get away with it. And they understand that part. That's how they get away. They, judges, lawyers, DAs, cops, they're all criminals. They are. They think about the mindset. Think about the mindset for a second. You have this so-called qualified immunity, which they don't, because once, like you said, that Title 18 subsection 241 and 242, once they touch that, it's over. You don't get that anymore. But they know They understand, oh, I got qualified immunity. I can go shoot this dude if I want. Oh, I have qualified immunity. I can kick her door in and go take her kids if I want. Oh, I got qualified immunity. I can do whatever I want. And the judge is going to go for it. And what does the judge do? They write the order out. They send the order out. They put the warrants in. They do all this crap. And they're giving them the go-ahead to destroy that person's life. Off of, well, she had this child and it was crying all day, so we didn't have any choice but to go over there and take it from her. That's what they're using. That's the type of shit they're using. Oh, this guy said that he pointed a gun at him and we're just going to take him to jail, him and the whole family. That's the stuff they're using. No evidence.
Yeah.
No videos, no nothing. They're just going off their friggin' word. They're criminals.
Meanwhile, you go to the police with real evidence, with videos, with witnesses, with everything to go report an actual crime or abuse, and they look the other way and they won't make an arrest. They won't even apply for a warrant. But someone goes in and lies with no evidence and hearsay.
Yeah, they're
okay,
there. Yeah, they're
felony
there.
warrant, guns drawn, send 17 cops to surround your house when you're literally just peacefully standing there. Yep, that's America in 2025.
It's sad.
It is.
And then they call you, they call it a free country. How in the fuck are you free? How?
That's the biggest joke of them all.
Yeah, show me where when they're kicking in doors and snatching people. I'm going to say this, right? When it comes down to the 14th Amendment, they're all crying about, oh, the immigrants this, the immigrants that. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus. Why don't you guys pay attention to us? Pay attention to us. We're the ones that deserve the 14th Amendment, due process, Fifth Amendment, illegal search and seizure, Fourth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, lawyer and be able to be defended by the country that claims we're free. This is, they're not giving us anything. They're not giving us nothing. The Bill of Rights is built just for us. They can say it's not all they want to. It's built just for us. They're supposed to follow this by the tooth. It's for us, about them. If you're violating this person's rights, anything, First Amendment, freedom of speech, Second Amendment, right to carry, bear arms, Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. I usually don't do third because that's, I mean, it does, but it really don't. Fifth Amendment, able to plead the fifth and not say what you defend yourself and not have to listen to the crap. Sixth Amendment, able to have counsel in court to be able to defend yourself. I mean, we got to understand that's what we got. How are you stepping on that?
Yeah, and people need to understand. People need to understand the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is not a document that tells us what our rights are. It's a document that limits the government to what they're allowed to do.
To do to
the
us,
government, right? We are our own people, and the government is only allowed to do so much based on what the Constitution allows. So they're limited. We're not. If it doesn't say that they have the power to do it in the Constitution, they don't have the power. If they do it anyway, which has been the trend over the last 100 years, where most of society is too distracted or they don't care, or they're not paying attention, and they just keep issuing more laws, federal laws, state laws that are illegal, unconstitutional, or policies and procedures and stuff like that. And nobody challenges it. So then it just becomes the status quo, and then it goes on for years and years. And then it's like anyone that tries to challenge it gets retaliated against. And so it's like, people need to realize too, like, it's not anybody who's on US soil, whether they are there for a vacation or an illegal immigrant or a United States citizen born there. It doesn't matter. If you are on that US soil, you are entitled to all those constitutional rights while you're there. And so that includes due process. So if somebody is getting snatched up by ICE and they're an American citizen, and you have, let's just say ICE grabbed you tomorrow and they're not wearing a badge or anything, and you say, I'm born in America, I'm a US citizen. I have a passport. I have ID. I have my birth certificate. And they don't even want to look at it. And they just arrest you. And next thing you know, you're in El Salvador. You're not an immigrant. You're
Right.
born here, but
Right.
they took you and threw you in there. And now you're going to sit in jail for a year until you finally get a lawyer. They didn't give you due process, and you were wrongfully removed, right? That's happened to many US citizens and lawful residents in the last like 4 or 5 months, where US citizens are being deported for no reason and stuff. And so I think that the bottom line is, if one person is denied due process, all of us are denied due process, because it's not like only they deserve it and not us, or only certain groups of people. No, everybody deserves due process no matter what. As soon as you start taking that away, America crumbles. And, my parents were immigrants, and I'm a first generation American. And my dad used to always joke and make fun of it. And when I was a kid, he used to be like, "Oh, this is America. It's a free country. Everything's free in America." And he'd start laughing and say, "It's a free country. Everything's free." And I'd be like, "Why are you laughing?" And like, I never understood it as a kid, but now I get it. It's like, nothing is free in America.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
No.
And people think it's a free country. Try to leave. Go ahead
Right.
and try to leave. And you'll realize that you're in an open air prison. And if they say, yeah, you could come in, but you can't come out, and it's not a Democrat versus Republican, it's a police state, I call it.
Yep.
Because and each of the states, it's almost like their own little country, their own little nation. And they think that they're sovereign, and they're ignoring the Constitution and ignoring the federal laws, because they're like, oh, what are these people going to do? Go ahead, take us to federal court. We have immunity. We have this, the federal courts have our back. And so then it's like the people who do push back, they get, they'll get put in prison or mental hospitals, or they bankrupt you. They paint you as crazy, whatever. And it's like, they'll just the same playbook with everybody. And so I think that the more people speak out, the more people that get awareness in their communities, because you really need to find more people in your community who've dealt with the same court, the same police department, the same individuals, because then you'll start to notice patterns, and also to follow the money. Go start seeing who's on the executive board of directors for some of the nonprofits that handle domestic violence or legal aid and all of these things, where they're getting billions of dollars in federal grants every year. But go and try to say you want a free lawyer from legal aid. Good luck getting one to represent you, because they'll just say, oh, well, we'll give you a consultation, or we'll meet with you, but we can't give you an actual lawyer. Like, there's no such thing as real free lawyers for people who are low income or people who are domestic violence victims. But these nonprofits go and tell the federal government and the IRS, like, oh, we're going to give charity and free legal assistance to those who are low income. They get the money, millions of dollars that they don't have to pay back. And then when those low income people or DV victims or whatever tries to go get help, they're turned away. So where'd the money go? 6-figure salaries, full state benefits, pensions.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go and invest the money to another nonprofit and say that it's lobbying, and it's crazy. So I think, you obviously have paid attention, and, you've educated yourself about what's going on with some of the stuff, and not everybody in the community is. So I feel like, starting like small groups where you reach out to the community and say, has anybody else had issues with this judge or this court or this DA? Reach out to me. Let's start having a weekly meeting. Let's maybe do a joint lawsuit. Let's try to put our minds, money, and energy and efforts together, because everybody's more powerful together than if you're just alone. They'll say, oh, he's just a disgruntled litigant. He just is mad because it ruled against him.
Or he's crazy.
He's just crazy. He's this. But if there's 15 people, 10 people that have all saying the same thing with proof and receipts and witnesses and documents to back it up, then they're not going to say anything. And like, once you start getting the DOJ involved and really pushing, not just making a phone call, like sending certified letters with flash drives, and where they have to sign for it, and following up. And right now they're going and raiding people's houses, they're arresting judges, they're shutting down police departments. Like, I feel like if there's any time that they're taking stuff seriously, it's now. So
yes,
I think now's the time to really just put it all out in the open, and anyone who's doing crimes and using their positions of power, whether they're in the military or political people or public officials, they're all up for grabs for being prosecuted, and nobody is immune, not a judge, not even anybody, not even the state itself, because the immunity does not, they're the doctrines that give them sovereign immunity or judicial immunity. Those are doctrines. Those are not the Constitution. The Constitution trumps all of that. And so they are liable for violating those rights. And especially because they're doing it willfully. They're not making mistakes. They're intentionally doing this as part of a bigger scheme.
Oh yeah. It's like you said, follow the money trail. It's
Exactly.
all about the money. It's all about the money. Like I said, they've busted judges for kids for cash. They've busted cops for kids for cash, DAs for kids for cash. I mean, and that don't piss the viewers off. That don't make the viewers mad or angry. That don't make you say to yourself, wow, that could happen to me or my granddaughter or my son or just anybody. It's not fair to the American person or citizen. It's not fair. They've done this for so long that it's normal. We look at it as normal. Nobody gets upset. They come and they'll snatch your next door neighbor's kids, and you'll probably look at it like, well, they didn't come over here and do it to us, so we don't need to be worried right now.
Or they'll say, oh, I knew that neighbor was crazy, or oh, that neighbor must be an alcoholic or whatever. Like they think that the idea that somebody could lose their kids for no reason or for trying to protect their kids, the idea that that could result in losing your kids is so crazy and far-fetched for most people to believe that they just don't believe that's real. So like, right. Until more people get up there and speak up, because like so many people are ashamed and embarrassed. So like I used to think if somebody lost their kid, they must have beat their kids or they must be on drugs or they had to do something bad. And when I reported that my child was being sexually abused at her dad's by the dad's older son, and then I reported it, was accused of lying, and the dad and his older son then got sole custody. It's like, so if you sexually abuse a kid, you're going to get sole custody. If you report that the kid was sexually abused, you're going to lose custody and get put on supervised visits. If I told that to anybody in the general public, they would laugh and say, oh, you're crazy. That's not true. But I could show you 30 examples of case numbers, including mine in Connecticut alone, where that happened. Mom reports sexual abuse at dad's. Judge says mom lies. Kid gets taken away, gets put with dad. Mom never sees kid again. But and everyone wonders, no wonder what happened. Yeah.
Now you know exactly who's committing the crimes. You know exactly who's the ones committing the crimes. Your local judge, your local DA, your local officer. They're the ones committing crimes right now. Think about it. If they come to your house and they're taking your kid for nothing, and then you don't get to see that child at all, they done sold that kid off for cash. And there's nothing you can do about it. Well, I'm not saying that there's nothing you can do, because there's plenty to do, but
you got to go above their head.
Right.
You have to take it up to federal.
I'm going to tell you this. The thing that Donald Trump is doing with the federalizing stuff, he needs to do the whole 50 states. That'll stop him. Not only that, but amp up the order on treason. Make that a number one. You violate that Title 18 subsection 241, 242, you're done.
Yeah. If they can if they're going to try to give the death penalty to Luigi Mangione, why can't they give the death penalty to people who are doing these this is domestic terrorism, what they're doing.
Yeah. Not only that, but they've taken the stealing part to a whole nother level. Like they can take a kid today and then tell you, well, your child had complications and it died, and they done took the parts out of it and sold it to somebody. I mean, it's that friggin' bad. And you could say, oh, it's not that bad all you want to, but look at all the cases where these judges and these lawyers and everybody's getting busted for doing it.
Yeah, and not to mention the inmates who they're finding bodies of inmates buried behind the jails in I think Alabama or somewhere, and they then took out the bodies and they were returned to the families with missing organs.
Yeah,
And the jails are in on it. It's
yeah.
organ harvesting, trafficking bodies, organs. It's disgusting. And like this is the reality is that people are so like it's like money is more important than anything to so many people that they're willing to do so many like evil and disgusting things. And obviously, like what you said too, if there's no consequences, if the worst that will happen to them is maybe they'll go to federal prison. Like, look, the Cash for Kids guy from Pennsylvania, Biden gave him a nice little pardon. So that guy is off scot-free now. Thank you, Biden, for showing us that you don't care about children. And so it's like, where's the incentive for other judges to follow the law if they know that they can just get a slap on the wrist and let free?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've even at where I'm at now in the town that I'm in right now, and it's in Pennsylvania. We've had priests. I think it was like 200 of them, maybe 300 of them, that were all busted for friggin' child molestation. That's crazy. That's
And are they
crazy.
in jail? Did they actually
I
get locked up?
don't know if they're in jail or not, but it's bad. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's the sickest friggin' crap you could think of, but you gotta laugh about it because it'll piss you off so bad till you want to destroy something or do something bad. And it's like, you know, you can't do that, but in the same process, nobody gives a friggin' flying fat ass that my child got taken for no reason. Your child got taken for no reason. The people next door's child got taken for no reason. The guy down the street child got taken for no reason. Nobody's coming around asking questions. Hey man, what happened? What's going on? Can we see the docket? Do we know what's going on? No help. Don't nobody care. And these poor kids, half of them are sitting around crying, wondering where their parents are. Why can't I go be with my dad or my mom? What in the fuck is going on? And not knowing that the very same people that they say, oh, go call the police because they'll protect you. Go ask the judge, they'll protect you. They're the ones that's fucking you over. They're the ones that's getting you killed. They're the ones that's throwing you in these dungeons so you can't see your family or your parents anymore. It's them. And they're not, nobody's getting it. Nobody care. Oh man, they're crazy. They just keep talking about the cops. They don't know what the hell's going on, this, that, and the third. No. You know what needs to happen? Like I said, I bet you $20 if they federalize it, they'll see what the hell's going on then, because they won't be doing the shit that they're doing. Because now, every time you violate Title 18, subsection 241 or 242, say bye-bye to that motherfucker because he ain't got no immunity. He's done. Get him the fuck out of here. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I think you should definitely write a letter to or a complaint / letter and send it to the White House and send it to the DOJ and everything about what's going on with your situation. And I think that like if you tell them all these details and send the evidence and stuff and have them put some federal oversight on your case, it also will protect you a little bit. Now, do you think that they're gonna put your case to go to trial, or what do you anticipate will happen?
Yeah, I'm at that stage right now. I'm at the trial stage. He just blew it off. Like I said, I got the witness on there's witness on the stand saying no crime was committed. I got the cop on the stand saying no crime was committed, but then they still punted it to where it's at now. It's a lot of illegal shit going on, and nobody's paying attention. I'm gonna get my transcripts, and the transcripts are gonna be something special. I can tell you that right now. The transcripts are gonna be something special because what I got so far, it's so many lies there that it just boggles. I highlighted almost half of the friggin' their order, all lies. And
That's what they do. It's like, yeah. Well, you know what? Just keep making videos, and like if you have transcripts, if you have audio, like the more you can show proof, people will be interested. And like maybe sometimes people have a short attention span. So even if you just make it like 5 to 10 minutes tops, like, and just say like, look at this order. look at all the things in the order that's illegal, you know, then if you tag Pennsylvania, you know, put hashtag Erie, next thing you know, you're going to maybe like, I can't tell you how many parents saw my posts and were like, oh, I'm from Connecticut too. I had the same judge, and like reached out to me because they saw my posts. So definitely continue to expose what they're doing
Oh yeah.
and make complaints to Trump and Cash Patel, the Department of
Oh yeah.
Justice, everything, because like they keep quoting themselves saying nobody's above the law, nobody's above the law. So literally write them a letter. On this date, you said nobody's above the law. Well, according to you, then this person needs to be prosecuted because they are acting like above the law because of this and this and that. Please prosecute them. Then you can make a video saying, Trump, I'm begging you to do the right thing. I made a report. Please take it seriously. Then it's like maybe Trump's team will catch your attention and say, what's this about? You know, and like they have people on social media all day. They got their own page now. So it's like, it doesn't hurt to just keep putting yourself out there, go on YouTube, everything, Facebook.
We need a couple million people to get involved with this. That would definitely help if we could like a petition. I mean, I would like to find something that is actually going to work, not something where we all sign our names to it and then they throw it to the side and don't pay no attention to it. I want it to be one of those things where they look at it and say, oh shit, don't touch that. That's fucking hot. And then when they do touch it and they start reading it, now we got we can get this taken care of. I want it to be that friggin' hot. I want it to be so hot when they touch it, it burns their skin. That I want it to be that good. And there's got to be something out here. Just like you said, Cash Patel says it all the time. Nobody's above the law. Donald Trump says it. Nobody's above the law. Pam Bondi, nobody's above the law. The other lady that's always on, nobody's above the law. Well, y'all need to start showing us that. You need to start showing us that. Because if this is what you're saying, then this is what we need to be doing. This is what we need to understand. Nobody's above the law. Let's get this down on paper. Like I said, enforce treason.
Exactly.
Take away the qualified immunity. Federalize everything. And I promise you, you will fix this country. You want it to be great. There go your greatness right there. There's your greatness right there. Because
exactly.
you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
How are you going to keep your cops from disobeying their oath of office? You got to do something to make them think to themselves, okay, I'll give a prime example. If we commit a crime, what are they going to do? They're going to tell us, oh, you better get a good lawyer because you're going to jail. Give them that same option.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like, it's just like you said earlier, you said, if you see something, say something. Like if you've noticed if you've noticed corruption or fraud or wrongdoing from any cop, any judge, any person so far in your experience, every single one that's done wrongdoing needs to have a report, needs to have a complaint with the FBI for each and every one of them. Because, you know, a lot of times you say like nobody's above the law, but if nobody reports it, then nobody's going to know. So don't think somebody else will report it. Every time somebody does something to harm you, send in another complaint. This way, they're keeping eyeballs on. And also, like, there's other types of complaints. Like, you could do like it's called like the False Claims Act, the FCA, and there's ways to like declare yourself as like a federal whistleblower and like get more protection from the DOJ. And so, like, when the state is retaliating and persecuting against you, that's when it's appropriate to take it to that level. And you are basically a whistleblower because you're blowing the whistle on fraud and crimes done by public officials who want to silence you and probably want to lock you up and probably want to use a criminal case as a way to just say, oh, he's guilty. So now we were right all along, and then make it so you can't sue them, versus if you got a dismissal or if you were found not guilty, then they're more on the hook. So I would say, like, too, you know, if any parents or anybody else listening is from Pennsylvania and from Erie County, maybe they can connect with you, Dion. And do you have you're on TikTok? Are you on other socials?
I'm on TikTok. I'm on Truth. I'm on Facebook.
And what's your name on there?
On TikTok, it's just Dion and then it's a whole lot of numbers. I don't know what the numbers are.
Okay.
For attention. And Facebook, it's I really didn't want to give out the Facebook one because I don't know who's doing
That's
what
fine.
in my situation. Um, then there's
YouTube?
yes. No, I'm not on there. I'm not on there. I'm definitely on what is it
X?
called again? X.
Twitter?
Yeah, I'm on there, and I'm on the other ones, not Spotify. What is it called again? Oh crap, I forgot the name of that one. Half of them I don't even go on anymore because I'm afraid to say anything because you don't know what the hell they're gonna do, you know. So yeah, it's awful. But I'm on some of those, but I could definitely leave an email address where you can get in touch with me. Um, like I
Yeah,
said,
we'll put it.
I'm not
We'll
really
put your
knowledgeable in everything, but I can help.
Yeah, we'll put your email in the description for the video. So if anybody wants to reach out and also has similar stories, maybe you guys can team up and share experiences because I'm sure there's many people out there from your area that
Oh
have the
yeah.
same or worse, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen, like I said, but I've seen some dockets. People trusted me and sent me their docket, and I looked at some of them, and then I look at mine, and I'm like, damn, what the hell did the lawyer do? Did he do anything? Was because I'm doing mine pro se right now, and I mean, it's there. It's there. When you look at it, I set it up so, and every motion that I put in, I gave every last one of them. I put it in on my 1983. Why did I do that? Because it gives the federal judge on in real time what the hell they're doing. Right now, you're there. You're. It's like watching TV, but you're in the TV show with that person doing the TV show. I did everything in real time. Every single motion that I put into the county, I gave it to the federal courts. And another thing that people need to understand, soon as you get charged, if you get some bullshit, frivolous ass friggin' crap, the first thing you do, go and file that 42 USC 1983 and take your docket, take your motions and put every friggin' motion that you've ever signed are put out there in the county, and you give that to them judges, because they don't want no frivolous case. They're not going to take your case if it's frivolous. They want facts. They want evidence. They want to see what the freak why are you saying they're doing this? Everything that you do, you make sure the feds got it, because if the feds got it, and there's going to be judges there that's good, they want to smack the hell out of some of these freaks, because they're getting in trouble for it. So
Yeah,
and being made to look bad. So they want to rip some heads off. So straight to them. Everything you do, any paperwork that you get back from them, the orders when they say, oh, this is what we're going to do because this is what, you give that to the federal government. You give all of it to them, every friggin' bit of it. Don't waste. Now, if you're guilty, I don't recommend it. But if you're not guilty, you take every piece of that paperwork and you give it right to the feds, because they're the ones that's in the end going to determine if you got a RICO case or if you got a civil claim.
yeah,
Go to jail or not. In the end, they're gonna be the ones to figure it out and do everything constitutional. Don't just put stuff in there. Make sure it has a constitutional backing, and it has a case law to go with it. And I promise you, it's gonna work.
definitely. Well, I wish you the best with everything with the case, and hopefully you can continue giving updates and keeping everybody in the loop so everyone can continue. If there is any Zoom links of upcoming hearings that the public can attend, please let us know. And we'll keep an eye on what's going on with that docket, as well as your federal stuff. And thank you again for all of your time and sharing your story. And I encourage anybody else who is from Pennsylvania or Erie to reach out to Dion and share your experiences on a local level so that more victims of this corruption can help team up together to try to put a stop to it.
And thank you so much too for having me, because we all of us, all however many billion it is of us out here, we need to understand that they're not they're not they don't care about us. They're not giving us any kind of slack. They don't care. You're crying and begging, oh please, oh please. They don't care about that. They don't care. We all need to jump in here together and get this done. Hold them accountable. There's ways. There's ways. Even if we got to put petitions into the feds, there's ways to do this, to remove these people and get them the hell out of here, because we don't need this. We're trying to move to the golden age, like they keep saying. We're trying to get to the golden age. How are we going to get there with corruption? We'll never make it. We're not going to make it. They're stealing our kids. They're taking our livelihoods. They're stealing our money. Y'all better wake up, man. It's not a game. It is not a game. It might not have touched you yet, but hey, one day you might be out there driving your car and they pull you over for nothing and hand you a couple tickets, and then you get pissed off and want to fight them, and then you beat them. They coming to get your ass. Excuse me. They're coming to get you. So remember that.
Absolutely. And I think the best thing everyone can do is continue to educate themselves, read the Constitution, read the laws. Like, if you know how to read, you're already more advanced than a lot of people in the world. So read your rights, because if you don't know your rights, you'll never have them protected. Yes, the Constitution, carry it around like it's in your back pocket all the time, so that they could never, ever tell you otherwise.
Our forefathers were some bad dudes, man. Y'all better listen to them cats. They didn't put all that crap together in that damn book for nothing. And then, and this is the crazy part. You see how beautifully wrapped it is. You see how beautifully wrapped it is. Y'all better pay attention. You better pay attention, because these cats right here, they wasn't doing this just to be doing it. They're trying to tell you guys something. They're trying to tell you something, and it's right here.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and we will stay in touch. We'll talk soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
audience.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.